Hello, this is May 13th, 2025, and the open public meeting of the Needham Library Board of Trustees that is being held via hybrid format, allowing for remote attendance. First, I will take a roll call to confirm that trustees, library staff, and persons anticipated to be in the agenda are present and can hear me. For the trustees, K. Hill.
Here.
Erhard Grafe.
Here.
J. Fialko.
Here.
Michael O'Neill.
Here.
Megan Small.
Here.
Joshua Small.
Here.
And me, Rob Pettit. For library staff, we have Library Director Robert McLean.
Here.
Administrative Specialist Jenna White.
Here.
Program Specialist Gail and Dennett.
Here.
And Recording Secretary Faith Chrisley.
Here.
And I note that we do not have a representative from the Library Foundation of Needham in person. Do we have anybody on Zoom? No. Okay. This meeting is being recorded. If there is a problem that prevents the completion of this meeting, we will reconvene at 7 p.m. on June 10th, 2025. I hereby call this meeting of the Needham Board of Library Trustees to order at 7:05 p.m. For public comments, citizens are welcome to speak for up to 3 minutes each, not to exceed a total of 10 minutes. Citizens are encouraged to inform the library director in advance of their intention to speak. Those who provide advance notice will be called up first. While the board will take public comments under advisement, there may be no opportunity for discussion or debate during this portion of the meeting. And with that, I will turn to the agenda. Do we have any public comments? Hearing none, we can move on to the minutes of the April 9th, 2025 meeting. Prior to discussion, I request a motion to approve the minutes of the April 9th, 2025 meeting. Then we can discuss.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, don't need to do a roll call today since we're all here.
Do discussion before we get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Erhard, you were absolutely right. Let us discuss and then modify our prior vote.
I don't feel so bad now.
So in that note, any comments or questions for those minutes?
WGBH, we checked and they changed their name as Masterpiece did to just GBH.
Well, it's
So we left it-
it's rebranded as
Okay.
GBH. It's
So we
still-
left it as GBH.
Yeah.
in the minutes.
Yeah, that's what it's,
We checked.
that's what we call ourselves.
What page is that on? Sorry.
Page 7 or 8. Yeah.
But we checked.
Yeah,
We got
because I brought that up. I'm
we
like,
checked.
that's it.
So like, oh, it's like Masterpiece Theater, it's not Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Theater.
No, that hasn't been Masterpiece Theater for a long time. It hasn't been WGBH probably a few years at this point.
Great. Any other comments or questions related to the minutes? Hearing none, I think we can come back to the vote now that we've had a chance to discuss. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the April 9th minutes are approved unanimously. And with that, we can move on to the director's report, and I'll hand it over to Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Just go over some department highlights. For the past month since the trustees last met, under the children's department, appreciative of Wendy, she went to the rescheduled Healthy Kids event the YMCA held down the street. It was rained out the Saturday before May 3rd, and she was able to pull it together and participate on her Saturday work. So we appreciate that. In preparation for summer reading program, Paula created a new dragon video, which is up on the children's part of the website that explains the summer reading program, which is all about dragons here at the library. So it's going to be very exciting, and we already have some of the decorations out, dragons. So one of the highlights of the decoration. So if I'll send out a picture and email when it happens, but towards the last half of June for a week, we're going to have a big dragon balloon hanging above the children's items.
So when is this primarily, all this dragon stuff?
The whole summer reading.
The whole
is-
summer, so it'll be
The
correct.
theme is for children is dragons,
All right.
but we'll have a dragon balloon sculpture for a week or so of the children's department. Kickoff.
And what week was that? I'm sorry, that's.
It's the last half of June.
Okay.
Are you having both Eastern and Western dragons?
Ooh. Fire breathing and non-fire breathing?
But,
And dragons should have 4 legs.
okay, all
They
right.
only have 2, they're wyvern.
Whoa.
So you gotta check if you have a wyvern or a dragon.
We bring considerable knowledge to bear here.
Romance is super fun and a good way to escape the world. Which doesn't have no dragons, but feels like it sometimes.
Yes,
Oh, yes, Galen?
Yes, potentially, and I will not know for a few more weeks. We qualified to get free puzzles from Ravensburger, so we can do a puzzle race.
Yeah.
And one of the puzzles I've requested is a dragon theme. So we'll see what we're gonna get. It's either that or it's a very beautiful other thing which I will not announce, but we may have potentially.
Is that
a
an
dragon.
adult puzzle?
That one will be designed, it's a 500-piece puzzle. If that one particularly, if that's what we get, we're gonna do that as a family event. And I can
Do you want to vet the puzzle to make sure
No, I
that?
just, I want to participate. Certainly not with my children. I want to be more
We
comfortable.
could, but we will probably, if we get the dragon one, we'll probably advertise that, looking for 5 teams with families involved, so we can go along with the theme. And if we get both of the puzzles, then we'll definitely be doing an all adult one, quote the other one.
Okay, that's great.
End of
sounds
July, I think we're looking at the moment, because we want to get time for puzzles to come in.
All right, dragon, so more to come. Paula did an outreach story time at the Wonder Garden preschool, which was great. On the next item, for Arbor Day, we celebrated, the children's park celebrated by handing out 40 trees to needy families to be planted in their, hopefully in their own backyards. So that's something that has happened in the past. So we're happy to do that again. So that was free for our participation. Lindsay came with her puppet pals, and we had almost 100 people watch her great show. So that was a great event that was paid for by the so we appreciate that. At the bottom of the first page, Wendy, Carolyn, and Gina have done a lot of work leading and reorganizing the collection. This is part of the work that we constantly do throughout the library. It's a living collection that grows and shrinks as needed, and this sort of work is really important to make sure that readers find the stories that they want.
Great.
And then just want to follow up with the last bullet here of the children's department. Some patrons have commented on what I think the children's department just knocks out of the park every month in the displays. The variety of the displays, you know, the number of them, they do a really great job. So our patrons have appreciate that and have mentioned that. One particular one, the past couple months that stood out, I think I shared a photograph with you of it, was the Ramadan display, which was a collaboration with volunteers from our high school who created the decorations for that. So that is it for Children's Technical Services Department. Just want to note the last bullet, almost 1,000 items were added in the past month. And as we get ready for the phase 1 construction project, the 2,400 items were withdrawn from the collection. In the Technology Archives Department, the second bullet, we now have a people counter in the children's room. So that's exciting news because we love data. We love data.
good.
So we've always had people counters at the Highland Street entrance in the Highland Avenue. I always get that mixed up. Highland Avenue entrance and here at Rosemary. But now we have one when you enter the children's department. So that data will be important as we get ready for phase 2. Phase 1, we're having people counters installed at each of the doors into the new tea room. So that data will be useful for us too. So that is up and running and paid for. So we thank Danielle for doing all that work. It involved the town electrician and building maintenance here. as well as the outside vendor Trustees to do that. So we're gonna have new self-checkout machines through a company called WeScan. So that hardware has been ordered and then it'll be set up in July. So it'll replace the self-checkouts we currently have, and we'll have an additional one, a standing one by the holds shelf, the open holds here next to the card catalog. So will be a little bit more easier, and they're very sleek looking, and they're they work via iPad, so it's just a nice, easy, accessible touch screen.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Just regarding self-checkout, which I now use myself somewhat, not always, but on my phone. And it does mean that you have no interaction with the librarians at the desk. So, and I'm just wondering what the philosophy, what the thinking is about that. That is a change, you know,
It
that
is.
people come in, they don't have to speak to anybody, they grab a book and check it and walk out. So, you know, does cut down on personal interaction. So
It does,
it's
like the
it's fun.
cheers effect is less for.
What's that?
Cheers.
You know, everybody knows my name.
Yes,
Cheers.
yes,
The
the cheers
bar.
effect.
Dating myself?
It's okay.
So.
I'm with you.
Yes.
We're all,
When there's a
know
line,
what cheers is.
you know, it's convenient, but it's there, but we don't direct people to it in a way that is makes them think we don't want to serve them. We also don't have these machines in order to have less staff. You know, it's not an efficiency aspect in that regards. But it's convenient and the technology's there to make it happen.
It is.
Some people appreciate it if they're in a rush, but
I do,
We
because
are-
I'm frequently coming to pick up holes, so I can grab, scan, and run.
but
I do see folks not infrequently.
Yes.
Is the technology very easy for
Right.
people, older people to pick up? So all patrons can kind of like go and try, like, is there like a prompt?
It's like you check out at Roach Brothers or
yes, scan for your card and then a scan. The one hiccup for people initially is sometimes they scan the publisher's barcode on the back of the
Oh,
book instead of our barcode on the book itself.
Okay.
So sometimes it's a hiccup there.
Is there something that will tell them to make sure that they do that so that they don't scan the publishers but ours?
No,
Okay.
staff.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we come in.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. So there will be interaction
Yeah.
Yes,
There you go.
if you need it,
if you need
of
it.
course.
There you go.
So she's been working hard on that. We ordered the hardware this fiscal year. We'll pay for the maintenance for the software agreement in July. So it'll be rolling out in July. Moving on I'm just moving quickly because there's a lot to talk about tonight. Under facilities, just want to let you know, you may have noticed the Highland Avenue door has not been fully working with the ADA button. It's one of the doors has been sort of propped open. So one door needed its motor replaced, and then after that was installed, we realized the second door needed its motor replaced, so that had to be ordered. So it's all done now. So
I never used that. I can't remember last time I came in through that door.
So if you break your leg, God forbid, you can come in that door and push the button and it all works now. So that was a long and expensive project that we luckily didn't have to pay for, that the DPW had the money for that. Angel and his crew have changed out the air filters in the building, so that's great for us. And the AC has been turned on for the season. So we're in the midst of that, you know, strange New England time where the heat's not on, the AC's not on, so it's sort of it's hot in the building. So they turned on the AC a little bit earlier for us than scheduled, and we appreciate that. So it is now working. And the elevator passed inspection, so that is great. We're good for another year there. Moving on to personnel. Emily Smith is our new part-time circulation assistant and is working tonight. If you stop by the circulation desk in Sarah or after the meeting, if you want to say hi to Emily, she started on Saturday. Tonight's her second shift. So we welcome her. The dreaded day is coming in
Oh,
6-7 weeks where Angel Lopez, the head of building maintenance for the library, is retired. So his last day is June 27th, and we wish him the best, but we also wish he changes his mind.
is there gonna be any sort of event or?
Yeah, we'll do something and invite trustees to come.
Maybe we should do it.
Assuming you know Angel, if not, he's just a great dedicated person. He knows the library inside and out and takes care of it, and our staff like we're all his own family.
So you're trying to convince him to stay still?
I don't think I've
I
officially recognized
personally,
that.
like anytime he says it, I'm
This
like,
is happening.
change your mind.
Yeah.
No pressure, right?
He's gonna enjoy retirement.
Yeah,
What day is the party gonna be, if there's gonna be one?
probably the last half of June. Yeah, we have to take it.
I think a lot of people are gonna wanna come, that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking, because I know he's helped me as a page as well, so he's just a delightful
Yeah.
person.
Community rooms available on 23rd.
So, yeah, we'll figure that out and let everybody know.
Apparently it's June 23rd according to Gail.
Hopefully,
Um,
but it is available.
Yeah, so we wish him well, and
Yep.
that is interesting. And is happening. So DPW will be hiring his replacement, but there probably won't be a hire before Angel retires, so there won't be that overlap. But we have already started to meet with Angel to get as much information as we can from him about all that he does and all the secrets about the building and all that. So we're continuing to meet with him to get all that information. So
Has he told you about the secret tunnels and all that?
Yep. Yep. And that will continue. So. Next time, Tamara, Diane, and I finished what the town has a series of trainings on effective management called Needham U with a coach, John Wortman, who's on is hired by the town. And so it was I think 5 or 6 meeting series, which ended in a graduation last Friday, where we each had to give a speech about what we learned. And, well, in front of Kate, his Patrick, and all our bosses. So
No pressure.
it was.
Can you give us a 30-second summary of what you learned about?
I learned that although I was trained as a professional librarian to engage in reference interviews, which my communication technique was open to all people, whether it's deductive speakers or inductive. Is it inductive? I think it's all confused. Anyways, I've become rusty, and so I've learned again the communication techniques and have now incorporated these into my job. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah. Well, I think what was as useful as the 14 modules of effective management training, we were in a group probably of 15 or so managers. These are all like newly hired, so within the past year, and just getting to know like all of the thoughtful, committed people who work here, like in all the other departments. Like it was impressive. It was impressive. Like, you know, I always think that the library were the best and like the most mission driven and whatnot, but like listening to everybody just wants to serve Needham well, and it was just really impressive. It was great. And so now we've got openings for new partnerships. In fact, Carrie, who works for health department, she does like emergency management. anyway, she's reached out this week to us about a training opportunity about mental health, a day-long opportunity. So 2 of our staff members are now going to this for free. So that's exciting. So anyways, moving on. A bunch of us are going to the annual conference of MLA next week, Monday or Tuesday, or some of us both days. It's in Falmouth, and so that'll be very exciting. 5 of the people listed here got scholarships from the Mass Library System, so no cost to the library, which is great. And then in June, we've got a couple people going to the ALA conference, including Gail and Paul is going. So that we're really proud of that continuing, that our staff are excited about learning and these professional development opportunities. Then a list of here meetings outside the norm that I've been at since the last trustees meeting. One thing I'll just
Busy.
bring to your attention, we had a meeting with the pastor and the deacon at Christ Episcopal Church across the street, and getting ready for a new 10-year lease. The current 10-year lease for the parking lot ends December 31st. So we had an initial meeting to talk about a new lease, a new 10-year lease, and issues that come up. So part of that new lease will include a requirement that they let us know when they have third-party agreements with other organizations to rent out part of that lot and where they will be. Or, so they have other agreements besides us. So we just want to know about that. So
Are there limits to how many spaces they can make available?
it'll be 20 on the northern end of the lot, which is so we'll continue to work with them over the next couple months to finalize that.
Have they considered restriping that lot? Do you know?
So
Because
the,
the spaces in there clearly aren't big enough. Like, I mean, obviously you lose some spaces from it, but like,
yeah, so
it's a
the,
dangerous lot.
the current lease agreement requires the town to do so as well as repave it.
Okay.
And so the town is going to do that before December 31st.
But you're not just talking about repainting it, you're talking about reconfiguring the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the spaces are, I mean, I don't know if the town's even looked at that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like, just, I'm
I
just
don't
saying,
think the
from
town
like
is
a
going to
user,
that, but I can
from a
ask.
user standpoint, it's,
Can you erase the lines?
yeah, of course. Like,
If you repave it.
yeah,
then
once you repave it, you
just
can't
start
drive
over.
over.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, like, I'm not the only one who notices, like, I don't drive a big car, like, there's no.
This
space.
is, I think, more problematic. Like
Really?
like against the fence.
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
The compact
yeah,
Yeah,
car.
the
yeah.
compact cars were all the SUV.
Yeah.
This
parked.
is, not our property, so, creating fewer spots would be a discussion with them.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to base their request for a new yearly fee based on the number of parking spots currently there. So,
Is there a way to just kind of let them, like with Josh was talking about, you park someplace, you open your door and you've got like a foot of space to get out of your car. So,
yeah, so I can talk to, those who need to.
Right, I don't know
Think
if that's
about
the right
this.
answer, I just think like, I'm sure like there are other patrons who notice it as well.
Yeah, but it's their property.
Right,
so they
exactly.
would-
No, I
They
understand that.
would say the yay or nay, even if we were all.
And they may have, there may be zoning requirements, like from the town for how many spots they need to have based on.
Another
Parking
thing.
requirements.
that was-
Whatever issues we have with space would be the same issues they would have. I mean, it's not like we drive bigger cars and.
No, right,
Yeah.
right, I understand that, but I'm saying,
The new lease agreement will have a section that will allow the town of Needham to install an EV charging station on their property.
Oh,
cool.
Which is great.
would that be 1 or 2?
Good question.
I think usually there's like at least.
well, it's two per pole, but
Yeah.
depends on how many.
Just so,
poles.
because that way, if people are coming in, and there's definitely enough electric cars that people use to come to the library. But where you designate a certain, maybe you need 4 because you have 2 and 2.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
up in that corner there.
Yeah, the ones in the town don't get used a lot because they're fairly expensive relative to
Yeah.
other availability and stuff like that.
They were
So
free.
this will
They were
be-
free for a while, yeah.
So this will be baked into the lease agreement, so we don't need to revisit conversation or start a conversation with them to get a separate permission for it to happen in the next 10 years. This is all based on if, you know, the sustainability manager gets another grant that allows for this to happen. But the lease agreement, they're all on board and happy about that.
Great.
Is there like a price associated with a 10-year agreement? That,
That's what is being negotiated,
And that just comes out of the operating budget.
not ours.
Okay, yeah, out of the towns,
Comes
okay,
out of the
Yeah.
town's budget.
okay.
so that's good. That's-
Yeah.
So the past 10-year lease was $10,000 with a 2.5% increase each year. So currently it's just over $13,000.
Okay.
So that's the starting point.
Per year.
Is it 13 grand a year?
That's what's we paid in FY this fiscal. year.
Okay, so that's good, good.
Phase 1 team room expansion. Oh, I should have brought a cake or something. So if you weren't there, you probably maybe if you were watching or heard the screams of joy from town hall. Article 29 was passed. It was really exciting. There were a couple of people who spoke against it, but I think in the end, there were maybe 3 or 4 no's drowned out by a couple hundred yeses.
Yes,
And some really great speeches by Erhard and Rob.
yes.
Lois Sokol, a former library trustee, spoke very poetically and very impactful.
Passionately too.
It's just, yes, just beautifully. Another patron spoke. It was just really nice to hear such wonderful words. And there was a question about how did the town decide this as a priority? And I thought the select board's answer was wonderful. It was like, town meeting decides what's a priority, and that's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
If you're gonna vote for it, you're saying it's a priority.
That's a great answer.
And then it was resoundingly a yes vote, so it is a priority for the town, and so that was.
Maybe good news for phase 2.
Well, we were careful to message with this that, you know, this is one of 4 phases. We're bringing each one before town meeting.
Mhm.
I think that's really important so that
Yeah.
nobody will be surprised. Nobody will say, I mean, somebody still will say, hey, wait a minute, we just approved a library renovation last year. But
This is
You
part
know,
of the same
I
plan.
think we've been transparent and have kind of explained why we did that, which is good.
And I thought that you and Earhart did an exceptional job of being transparent, but also fielding concerns and questions that people had. It was, I'm up in the gallery, so you guys are on the floor and I'm just like, yeah, tell them. And, but what was really good is that you explained it. It was like I was talking to Rob this afternoon. I said the best part about it is that we articulated that it would be done in phases as opposed to not having any concern. As valuable and viable as the library is, we do recognize that there are other things that need to be priority, like the Mitchell and Pollard. And I just kind of was glad that we weren't in the same boat as the DPW, where it was just 19 million something. And I said, if we had gone for that kind of a thing right then and there, it might have been more pushback.
Yeah.
you
I
know?
think the fact that we're able to present a shovel-ready project that
Yes,
has a bid under budget, it's nice, and being able to deliver in that way will help hopefully with future phases.
And I also thought that when Heidi Frail, select woman chair, stood up at the end and she countered what one of the naysayers said, which this is, he called it a nice to have project versus a need to have project. She basically said, you know, we have our valuable older buildings and this is part of the, you know, keeping that, maintaining our old buildings so they don't
Yes.
fall into complete disrepair. So that's important about maintaining this building. It's not just about, oh, making a team room, it's about the gradual maintenance of and upgrading the building over time, so.
I need to have what's nice to have.
Well, it's a subjective call, right? What nice to have, need to have. You don't really need to have very much at all, but
Was this the same man who said it'd be good for the young people to stay at school and
Yes.
and do that?
They should just stay at school.
And I said, well, yeah, that's great, but who wants to come home, go from home to school, to stay back at school for another 5, 6, 7 hours? That's not going on.
say the one thing that I wish that all the town meeting members could have seen were the renderings, just because they're so
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yes.
But
I was
for next
disappointed
time,
they
I'm gonna
didn't
write
come
down
up.
a note to, maybe we can do a presentation at the library board as part of the article when it
Mhm.
comes up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I talked to another town meeting member about that, and he said, like, this is something that we should do every time we have a capital project.
Mhm.
We should prepare a couple of slides. The town isn't necessarily gonna ask you to do that, so you kind of have to,
We
bring
gave
that.
them to them, but nobody.
right, but you have to kind
Right.
of say, we'd
Say,
like to
put
make
them
this
up.
presentation, like, would you be willing to share some of your time? We have to advocate for
Right.
those things, I think. So that's something we should factor in going forward. One other thing I want to mention was a number of projects, a number of capital projects, and the Cloud of the Envision effort are really attacking on this question of, like, who's making these decisions? Like, is
Right.
there some unelected group, like, in the town that's making these decisions? And so I think it's important for us to, one of the arguments I made in my remarks was the idea that, our priorities were set through a strategic planning process.
Right.
It's highly inclusive of different stakeholders, surveys, interviews, et cetera. We did the same thing with the space study, right? And so it's not just us, like, in this room coming to, some determination about what we think is important. And it's not the town staff making that determination on their own, right? This is actually something that we're trying to collectively involve the town in. And so when we're doing big projects, I think that's something that we should continue to think about. What are those ways that we can bring in more folks' voices into that process? Because not only is that the right thing to do when we're making, big decisions that affect lots of folks, but also that that's politically important for when you bring these things up for, appropriation.
And the
Right.
process is just as important as the content.
Yeah.
I do think, as annoying as I found it at first to break the project into pieces, I think it's helpful because when I was looking into Envision and I saw that it started in like 2009, it's so long ago, and when things were allocated, and it's like, what was important in 2009 is very different than 2025, and here we are asking for stuff to be immediately used and people will be able to see it immediately. So I think that ended up being a good thing for us. So thank you to everybody who spoke at it. I asked, when I was at the DTC meeting, I just asked people to vote for it in favor too, and Heidi was there, so, glad to see that also helped. So really happy to see this going.
Perhaps we could do a little survey in the children's room too, just to continue to kind of gather that, since the next stage is the children's room, right? Then you could gather a little bit more fresh survey data. So when we go next year to town meeting, we can say, oh, we got, more
Because,
surveys.
because is that the tentative plan that we're gonna, after this one, we're gonna seek the development funding for the next one and,
For the
We're
design.
just getting started.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
FY 27 SIP will be, is already designed money
Yep.
for phase 2, so they'll continue.
I mean, the whole thing was impressive and you guys were hitting it on all cylinders. I don't even think anybody, even the guy who was questioning maybe the process of what was gonna happen, he probably realized at that point that he might have spoken out of turn or just really didn't think it out. But people kind of, from the moment I got on before anything, voting and stuff, I was talking to everybody I could possibly talk to and say, hey, look, we really need your support on this. And so, and then you guys just kind of like hit it out of the park. So I was very proud to be a trustee and you guys represented us so very well. And I want that noted on record.
Record, please.
You guys did that, yes.
I mean, it's his right to ask those questions, you know, I think that's what a responsible town meeting does, is raise questions about the projects, because we are, you know, spending the taxpayers' money. You know, but that also means it's our responsibility to prepare for that, you know,
Yes.
and you know, think about how do we anticipate those questions so that we have answers for our town meeting.
And that can inform our thinking and process for the next phase.
Yes.
So Rob, any
next-
updates on the contract status?
Yes.
We're in the wait period right now.
Yeah, so, we have to wait 20 business days after the end of town meeting before we can sign a contract. That period is an appeal period for the action that town meeting took. So if we survive the next 19 business days, that's when we'll sign the contract with Tower Construction Corporation and then have a kickoff meeting with them. So we're looking at early to mid-June when we'll have that. Start the planning and to introduce ourselves and
Are you gonna have them come to our meeting?
well, we have them come to our,
Or if
um, we could, I mean, yeah, I could,
Or even if they can join by Zoom sometime,
Yeah.
that might be nice, just to.
yeah, I'll have to see who's assigned to us. Yeah. Hank is gonna be our owner's project manager and then Paul Sargent from his staff will be sort of the daily person here during the project. He'll be wrapping up a school project this summer, so the timing works well. So Hank will be our overall OPM with Ken providing the daily support on our side. Yeah, so it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And yeah,
impressively budgetary like savings, like. Like I looked at those numbers and I'm like, why are these people like a few $100,000 apart? I don't know. Like when we were doing budgeting for like house projects too, I never understand like why people are so far apart in numbers.
well, Hank checked the references and everything
Yeah.
Yeah.
worked out. Seems to be good and everything was included. He checked with them to make sure everything was included, that there was no mistake on the bid. So. And the overall, the subcontractor bids came in under. Not all of them were under, but overall, those are also under. So we're in a really good position to be under budget in 8 months, 9 months from now. And of course, on time. It is pretty exciting, like Valentine's Day, this will be done and we'll be like having a party. Like, that's not
They
far
got a big
away.
ribbon and cut it and everything.
We're
You gotta
gonna go
tell
all
Angel
out.
that he wouldn't want to miss it.
That's
He's
a
coming
good.
back.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll
That
invite-
didn't
we'll
work.
invite to the party.
That did not work, but he will definitely be here. But that's just 9 months away.
That's
Bring
wild.
your favorite
So-
teenager.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite a transformation. And a big thanks goes out to Erin and all the staff who've been involved since last summer with all the meetings and the inputs and collecting data and planning. It's been a lot of work and they've stepped up and done it while getting their normal work done. So big thanks to them.
Thanks to Earhart as well for being our
Oh,
user rep
yes.
Yes.
and liaison and contact. And to you, Rob, thank you.
Moving on to the financial reports. The first one is the operating budget, which shows you here, we are coming to the end of the fiscal year and we are finishing up. Our spending on materials ends on May 15th on Thursday. And so we'll have a lot of bills coming in that will draw down on that $75,000 balance that we have. So we're wrapping up. Our salaries doesn't look like we're wrapping up, but we are. We're going to be returning a lot of salary money to the town for free cash for next year, just because of all the openings that we had the past fiscal year.
What do you mean by free cash for next year?
If we return money that we didn't spend,
Yeah.
it becomes part of the certified free cash that the auditors certify in the fall. And so then it becomes, the free cash is the money that is used for like one-time capital projects or other things, or, you know, buying vehicles or.
It
I'm
can be
sorry,
reappropriated by town meeting for other purposes once it becomes certified. free cash.
But it leaves us.
Yeah.
It doesn't come
Yes.
back to us.
Back to the pool.
But for next year, I mean, like, assuming there's no people leaving, it seems like we're fully staffed or mostly fully staffed, much more so than we have in previous.
We're operationally staffed. All of our positions are full. So.
That's different
Just
than fully.
historically.
Right.
But we
All the
have
job
no- we have-
openings are, all the job openings that were open are no longer open.
Yes, with Emily starting last Saturday, we have no openings. But yeah, so we're in a good place.
That's impressive.
Just since I'm on the operating budget, what I forgot to mention somewhere was town meeting passed the town's FY 26 operating budget last week, including the library's budget, which did include $26,000 for overdrive advantage. So
Oh. Well, why did we do that? That's amazing.
We've been pushing for that for years.
Yeah, long
yes,
time.
so overdrive advantage is now part of our operating budget.
That's great.
They say hallelujah.
Yeah, so in June, we'll bring forth a spending plan for library state aid for FY 26. You may still see some overdrive advantage thing, money there, because 26,000 is not enough. It's just, but anyways, but we're in a good place for the 26,000 and for future growth within the operating budget. So that's good news. Everything was included except the DSR fours, which were outside of what went to town meeting. So we're in a good place. Our budget is about $2.45 million for next fiscal year. So that is great. And yeah, we're excited about that. We have been asked to submit a DSR 4 for FY 27 for this website annual maintenance fee
Oh, good.
for Sterling. So that's just under $5,000. So we will do that in FY 27, which would be nice to formally incorporate that into our operating budget. This year, we had to pay for it out of the permanent donation fund. So going to state aid expenditures, we have some bills we paid in the past month. They're listed here. Overdrive and Canopy, the annual renewal for Assabet, which is how we manage our museum passes, along with the 3 study rooms and our event calendar. That's an annual fee that we pay to them. We had some memberships for MLA and NELA. These are important because we get discounted conference pricing if we're members, so it actually saved us money to have our staff come. And then staff development day, we had Baker's Best invoice, and there may be some additional costs coming in. We paid out of state aid for that. The new state aid account reflects the changes that were made at the last trustees meeting, where we moved some monies around to cover overdrive and Canopy for the rest of the fiscal year. And as I said, in June, we'll present an FY 26 spending plan for library state aid. Last week, the finance department emailed us to confirm that they received our second library state aid payment, which is good news. But to get it in May, it's a little late.
No.
We were sort of waiting until we got all the money in hand before presenting a plan to trustees. So we do have all the money in hand now, but didn't have time to finish it for tonight. So we'll bring that to you in June. Just one thing that I'm thinking of for that plan, just not to jump the shark, but the $75,000 for phase one construction costs, potential overruns. Just thinking of keeping that set aside for FY '26, since the construction project is actually occurring in FY '26. So you'll see that sort of stay there.
Where is it current? Is this, are you talking about the 75 for overrun that the friends and the, no, this is different.
Just the encumbrance.
Oh, okay. And there,
And the
I see.
library state aid,
Yeah.
just to set aside, which with all of the bids coming in under budget, probably will not have to be touched. And we will work hard to use every contingency dollar before we do anything with library state aid. And we do have the Friends money and the foundation money, but just to be conservative, just to leave it parked there for FY '26.
Nice.
Trust fund expenditures, don't have any expenditures, but tonight, Rob did sign a credit memo that will be submitted to the trust fund commission. So that chart is also here. The monthly receipts, well, the listed gifts are the monthly receipts you see here for the permanent donation fund on the library trust fund sheet, which we'll get to later. Moving on to the statistical reports. I think I mentioned it at the last meeting, but if not, I'll say it now. This chart here on the occurrences of DIB issues in the items we add to our collection is accurate. The information I used to provide you about the number of materials added in this section was manually collected and was duplicative of this, and this is more accurate. So that is no longer part of here. So we still have the programming and the staff actions as DIB items listed here, but not the materials purchased.
So
Because
which document are we on?
the director's report,
Oh, okay, inside.
the DIB staff efforts.
Right.
So in the future, there'll just be the chart in regards to materials purchased. And then the staff efforts will talk about programming and staff actions. And then there's the new and withdrawn summary report here for April with March compared to it. So we're continuing to get ready for phase one, especially now that it's really going to happen. We have a lot of work ahead of us, and they're calculating. Diana today did the arithmetic regarding how many boxes we need to buy for the books that are going into storage, and the number of boxes is manageable, so we don't need to rent space or seek a location outside this building. So we've found a space that won't interrupt any of the service we provide, or our staff won't
We
feel
get
an
to know how many
impact.
boxes.
But
Do we not get to know how many boxes? You're like
So,
teasing it.
we
like,
are at 200 boxes.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, so 12 books per box. Yep. So
So this will be temporary storage of the young adult collection, is that what we're talking about?
temporary storage of the least used part of the teen collection. So in the catalog, these items will be shadowed, so they won't even be discoverable in the catalog for the 6-month period. So staff on our end will be able to see them, but not patrons. So they won't be able, nobody will be able to put holds on them. They'll just disappear one day and then they'll reappear.
They can always check it out via Minuteman. And, you know,
No,
like from other libraries
Other
to have it come
libraries.
in.
other-
Oh, yes, yes. yes,
Right,
yes,
right.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, the titles
Yes.
won't disappear, but just the
Our
availability
books,
here.
Will be
will.
inaccessible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. There are two statistical reports because last month I forgot to include the February report, although it was provided to me by the circulation supervisor, so that is here. The March report is also here, and just want to point out a few numbers. Our total circulation cumulatively is a nice increase so far with 1 quarter left to for us to go through. So we're at 4,500 more than FY '24. And the downloadable audio is really high for the year, 8,100 more than we were at this point last year.
Not surprised.
I think we had a talk, Michael, Rob and I, when we just met last week, just talk about the pickle the library is going to be in regarding digital collections and meeting the demand of our patrons as we try to stretch every dollar that we have. So this is a good problem to have, but it shows real engagement with our digital collections.
We talked about it earlier about the self-checkout. Do you have a theory as to why self-checkout is down so much?
Self-checkout down so much.
Is it because of the increased digital use and like the people that are going to be like theoretically digitally checking things out are the same people that are like just
Right.
the patrons who use digital books, right? Yes, Gail.
Didn't we lose the self-checkout in children's?
That one's still there.
Is it still there?
Yeah, on the front of the desk.
Yeah.
It's still there.
But I know it was down for a bit,
Oh, down. Oh, not
Yeah.
removed.
not working.
I mean, month over month from last year, it seems about steady,
Yeah.
right? But I guess it's just accumulated for the fiscal
Cumulative year,
year. So there
yeah,
could have been some other month where,
Part
I'm
of
just
this-
curious.
part
Maybe
of the
there's an outage.
self-checkout is the mobile app.
That's
And
what I
so
was asking.
Minuteman, we've just introduced a new Minuteman.
Oh, the new app
mobile
is good. It's a little slow, but it's better than the old app.
Replaces the old one, which was pretty poor. So there may have been just
Yeah, yeah.
movement away from using it based on its.
Like search, like on Apple Store, Minuteman app or something like that.
confusingly, the new app is not the same as the old app. So you can't update the old app
Oh.
into the new
Oh.
app.
No, it's a
No,
different,
you have to
completely new
hold it.
app.
It's a different app. So you have to download the new app.
And
put
it looks
your
the same as the
info.
old app,
Oh, it
like
does.
the icon is almost identical.
That's why it's very, yes.
So you think you can just update it?
Yes, correct, but you can't.
Is the digital collection, Libby, is that all of Minuteman or is that just Needham?
Maybe?
Yeah,
The question is.
I think it's all of Minuteman.
Downloadable,
Yeah,
numbers here
the digital
includes-
Libby books,
Libby,
ebooks, yeah,
Canopy, Hoopla
yeah,
is all part of these numbers.
right. I just meant,
Hoopla.
I meant for the digital one that we have access to with our with our card for the digital copies. That's the Minuteman network and not just the Needham library copies.
Through Libby.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're in Libby, you're looking at the Minuteman Library Network collection, which is our Advantage collection.
Yeah.
Other Minuteman Libraries Advantage collections that are shared with us,
Mhm.
but also the $1 million worth of licenses that Minuteman purchases for the network.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's the shared collection,
Got it.
our individual Advantage collection, and then other libraries' Advantage collections, which come to our patrons when their patrons no longer are using them.
Okay.
And then you can also download every other network in the state and go to the BPL.
Yeah, I
go to
have
CW
BPL, but
Mars.
that's it. I guess I can do the other.
You can do
ones.
all of them, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
really worth doing.
All right, I'll
Come
do
talk
Western
to us
Mass.
and
Yeah.
reference and we'll get you set
You
up.
can line them all
Yeah, I know
up.
CW
and when you
Mars,
place
when I
a
grew
poll,
up, that was
It
mine.
will check the other networks
Okay.
and send you.
All right,
it
yeah,
goes-
I'll add those.
it'll
If you
make
want,
your
you
way
can get a
to-
New York Public Library card. They give them out to anybody in the country.
You
Yeah.
can get a BPL one too, 'cause
Wow.
as a Massachusetts
What?
resident.
Yeah, I
New
can
York
get
Public Library
CPL.
one?
But, yeah, through your Needham card, you can add BPL to Libby, your.
Yeah, I have BPL, but I'm gonna add the other ones. I'll come and talk.
EW Mars?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say the attendance numbers for March, that must have been Arts in
Red and
Bloom.
blue.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That
was a
number
big
stood out.
success.
That's a good
They
thing.
had really nice honor couple of displays here
Yeah.
at this entrance and at the other entrance honoring the garden club president who passed this past
Sue
year.
Kaplan, who was the founder of Art and Bloom, passed
Mhm.
away this
Oh.
past fall. I went to her service at the temple, and yes, they also started a scholarship in her honor to help keep Art and Bloom going.
So it was a big success. We're gonna have to meet with them either this summer or this fall because the footprint of the new teen room eliminates a lot of that low shelving that currently exists where there are a lot of displays. So we'll be meeting with them in advance just to talk through the future of art. and film.
I have some ideas on where we can
So-
move some things, since it's only just the 2 days we have to worry about.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to accommodate them one way or another.
Yeah, so we just want to proactively reach out to them and meet with them to talk through that. So we let them know this was coming.
Yeah.
And they know about phase one
Yeah.
and its impact on art. and film.
It's something I think everybody involved with the library would love to keep on hosting, so it's
Yeah.
good.
It's really great. Also, the programming numbers overall for adults, teens, and children, we have a FY increase for all three, which is nice to see. That here. And any questions? That's the end of my report.
Right, so I will pivot to the gift list. We received that in the packet with a list of 4 various very generous gifts. Before we open it up to discussion, do we have a motion to accept the gift list?
So moved.
Second,
All right, I'll open it up to discussion.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Great.
Generous gifts.
What is this book? Just out of curiosity, it's a very long title with a lot of.
No, 3 different ones.
Oh, 3 different books? Okay,
Okay.
that makes more sense, thank you.
It sounded very interesting.
It
to
did,
talk
right?
about.
I'm like,
What's next?
but I'm like, also, is this like a adventure novel? Is it nonfiction?
Is it children's? What is it?
Could have been any of the above. But it's 3
Never-ending
separate
story.
Donations to the children's collection.
Children.
What's
Okay, well, I'll bring that to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Gift list is accepted unanimously. Many thanks to the donors. Moving on under the new business, we have to vote on the PPBC user representative for phase 1. I guess we should discuss amongst ourselves. Do we have?
So the question here is, should we transition, right? So I've been serving in this role for the past 2 years, since we did the space study and through the design process of phase 1. And I think it's an opportunity that I'd love to see someone else take up. And so I'm kind of bringing that.
What would
to
it
the table.
entail? Can we talk about what it would entail?
You go to the PPBC meetings, which are,
Yes,
were on Zoom, but the last one was hybrid.
right.
So show up for the library section of the agenda. Sometimes they go quicker than the agenda suggests, and you miss most of it. But they meet twice a month, or usually every other week. But the library would not always be on the agenda, but now probably going into construction probably would be on the agenda at every PVPC meeting. So Hank Cow is the liaison for PVPC and gives a report on an update as to the project and
And these are
reports
night
out.
meetings?
Hmm?
Night meetings?
It's Monday evenings.
Yeah,
Usually the
7:30.
second and 4th Monday of each month, because God help us, we posted them here for almost 20 years.
Yes, and they're usually 7:30 to 9:30, but you don't stay for the whole thing. There's just your part, and it's usually 20, 30 minutes max
Right.
for the discussion of your project, then they move on to another project in town. And if we name a new one, you will have to be sworn in at town hall, because you will become a voting member of the PLC for that particular project. Because occasionally, invoices come in for the project you're a part of, and you vote on approving the disbursement of funds for those things.
And the goal of the trustee on board is to what, ask questions, advocate for what trustees might want to see.
Yeah, so you're really a liaison from the board of trustees to the project, but also as a user representative, you're actually representing all the patrons of the library in that role, right? Rob is also a user representative, and through his role as director has insight into, right, all of the users of building. So you're meant to not only be the liaison from the board of trustees, kind of back and forth in communication, but also then to show up and be like, based on the ways that we've been talking about these issues, the priorities we've set in our strategic plan, like it's important to make sure that, the design team or the construction team is paying particularly close attention to these issues, right? And so that's where it comes in, where you voice opinions.
Sounds like you're hoping to step down.
Yes, I'm going to step down for that position. And so, I talked to Rob, and Rob said, I'd be interested if no one else was interested in that position. And so that's where we're at. And I think it's a good time to transition because we just got, the voting in for the construction phase. And so it makes sense for someone else to move in, oversee that construction phase, and also ramp up for the request for the design of phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
Any interests?
I will tell you, I cannot guarantee that I can do 2 evenings.
Yeah, same,
Okay.
I won't be able to make that.
I already did go to the foundation and the Friends meetings. I'm not sure I'm up to taking. I thought you were looking to continue to do it. That's last time we. No?
You've been doing that for a while.
I've been doing that for 2 years.
Yeah.
You've done the lion's share of
Well, I
that.
would wonder whether there are several people who have roles already here and some that don't, so I wonder, yet to take on a role, reconsider. I have the art committee, which requires meetings that I hold, and a fair amount of work.
For what it's worth, I'm not doing the MacIver. Not that I was before, but
Easy, easy.
I would be, well, gotta speak the truth in that, but I would be happy to. But I didn't want to jump in because if anybody else is interested in that, I want to open it up, but.
Who's doing the MacIver?
Sounds like there's no competition.
It's nice to do the chair and the user representative role. I feel like, Rob and I would coordinate on both chair planning as well as some of the user representative stuff when we would meet occasionally. So there's some nice efficiencies there.
That'll align, yeah, that'll align nicely. Any further discussion on that?
I would one question. I would like, just as a trustee myself, and perhaps other trustees would like, some kind of walk around at some point at the juncture where we could see. I know that at one point the contractors came in and walked around, and at that time it's like, well, that might be kind of interesting. Or is there a time when the trustees could kind of, be walked through at an appropriate junction?
In terms of what?
In terms of the concept, the construction plan and either at some point.
Like a field trip?
Yeah, like a field
basically.
trip up there.
I mean, there's only a small stairway separating us, so.
We could even do it as part of a trustee meeting, take 15 minutes and say, okay, here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Here's how we're gonna do it. Be in the space.
Be a moving meeting.
Okay.
Sounds like a field trip.
So it's
So
The Zoom
Kay wants to
meeting.
do like a TikTok kind of thing.
No, but I mean, if it's a meeting. No.
we couldn't probably do it while we
We'll
were
think about the open.
Okay.
Actually, the office
Okay.
is required by of
It
the
could be-
meeting, it's more of a transparency thing, but we
Yeah.
can think about that. If we do a portion of the meeting on that, we have to do the whole
It is,
meeting on
it
that.
is
So-
allowed that open meeting session that I attended, they specifically discussed kind of field trip type things.
Oh, yeah?
And it's completely within the realm of acceptability in open meetings, so.
Think about that.
Yeah.
But just in
July
the
or
interest,
August or both.
oh, sorry,
For July or August.
that, yeah, that would be-
Before. it's
and things
done.
will be a little bit closer further along then too. In the interest of moving along, because we've got a bunch of other things, we, unless there's further discussion, we can move to a vote on that.
I was about to say, do
Okay.
we have to vote on that
Yes.
for you?
We need a motion in a second.
I move to nominate Rob Pettit as the user representative to the PUC.
I second that.
Favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, and thank you, Erhard, for. 2
Thank you,
years of
Erhard.
Awesome work.
Yeah.
Very good hands.
Rob, you might want to check on what we need in terms of letters of whatever for Rob to the clerk's office.
Yeah, I think last time they needed like the approved minutes to accept the word that this happened.
Okay,
You
so,
are,
So that'd be June?
so that would be right, June will be approving the
I'll
minutes.
double check, but I think that's what happened last time. There was a delay because the minutes needed to be approved that proved this happened.
Okay,
That's odd because.
My
it's a
word was
open
not
meeting.
enough.
we also have a YouTube recording.
Right, that's what I was about to say.
You
It's
could,
like,
you could ask if there are other mechanisms,
Yeah.
right? Because there
Yeah.
may be something
Because
you
there'll
could
be
sign.
meetings before.
Right.
I mean, this will be up tomorrow morning.
It'll be up, posted tomorrow, so we could just give them a link.
Yep,
But another form of certification could be, you could draft a letter and leave it upstairs and we all come by and sign it. And maybe we can forward that to the clerk to do it earlier.
I'll ask Louise, I'll talk to her again, see if I just tell her what minute to look at our YouTube video. That'll be good.
or watch the whole thing.
Yes, I'm sure Louise wants to watch our entire video.
All right, that sounds good. Moving on to the next item, the action plan and trustee review of goals. We're actually going to be moving goals 1 and 2 to the June meeting. So we'll be reviewing 4 goals during that instead of 4 goals at this one. So that'll actually free up a little bit of time today. So kind of moving forward with that, I think we can open it up for the review of goals. Oh, sorry,
3 through 4 today?
3 and 4.
3 and 4 today.
Thank you.
So we can move on to the review of those goals.
Okay, so Michael and I met with Rob, and so for tonight, I'm going to present goal 3, and Michael's doing goal 4. So goal 3 was to offer user experience catered to the specific wants and needs of the community. Under that, we have 3 objectives, one having to do with teens, improving service space and outreach to teens. The second, improving service space and outreach to seniors. And the third one was investing 24/7 mobile library concepts. So the first one is the teens, and we had a priority action item for increasing the collection of video games and gaming systems. And that work was completed. The funding has been spent, and the video game collection has been increased, and our trustee comments are just, we feel like this is a great expansion of popular collection, and there's always an opportunity for more going forward. Then we also had an action item of staff time, allocating staff time to help inform the design of phase 1, the expansion of the teen room, and that also the staff was involved in all aspects of phase 1 design to help ensure that the space represents the best input from the staff as well as the other constituents. In our comments, we felt that the library staff and the leadership contributed significant insights to the process. And we suggested that there be press releases or other communications to help inform patrons as phase 1 gets closer to beginning. So we also had an action item of seeking funding for teen librarian, which we know, as Rob has reported, that that was the town management has asked that we submit that as a DSR4, right, if I'm correct about this. And the library will plan to submit that request for the coming FY27 as a DSR4. Right? So that covers the teen items. For seniors, one of the first action item was to expand, to look at the possibility of expanding the books by mail service to homebound patrons. And this is something that's done through the post office, right? And the staff has explored and is planning to expand the service. I guess it hasn't expanded as yet, but there's hope for the coming year as staff is available. Am I understanding that correctly? We'll continue to move in that direction. To, for this very serving the special population of household seniors. We also had an action item to review and replace the end cap signage, and I think anybody who's walked around the library anytime, you can't help but see this new end cap signage, which is bigger, brighter, really tells you where things are. Certainly is helpful for seniors who may have vision issues, and so we congratulate that. That was a great effort, and makes the library look like fresh and new in some ways. So then we have the action item was to investigate relaunching the Seniors Helping Seniors and intergenerational technology. So that program, my understanding, did not really get participation, and that it didn't seem like it was going to be a viable program at the moment. However, the government staff has talked about possibly putting together new technology classes that would help seniors learn to navigate library technology, use databases, and we would certainly encourage that going forward. Then we have the third objective, which is the Invest 24/7 mobile library concept. So the first action item was to monitor the success of the new module for online booking systems, which I think is known as Assabet, right? For booking the study rooms, and that's already up and running, my understanding is, and it's been quite successful. And they're looking forward toward the possibility of including the community room, and I guess there's discussions going on about how to make that work as part of the Assabet system, so people could just log on, sign up for not just the study rooms, but potentially, if it works out, for the community room. It seems like it would make a lot of sense if that can work. Then under this objective is also reorganizing the genealogy archive section of the library website to create easier access for patrons. And that is being done. It's been reorganized and is expected to be completed this year. And also, I guess there's some consideration of possibly for going forward, getting a consultant in to assist in organizing the archives digitally and consider tutorials for the genealogy archives for patrons. Last week. Strengthening the library's branding and marketing after obtaining staff feedback and finalizing the social media plan. And it sounds like it's, from what I'm hearing, already being implemented, the new social media plan. And my comment is just, I think that's an important goal. I'm glad to hear it was achieved. And I would love to see or hear, what the social media plan is. And I guess we could see it if we look on social media. But so those are the goal 3 action items and our comments and evaluation.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank
So
you.
perhaps, we're kind of doing this in a slightly new format this year with presenting a bunch of these at a meeting, but would it make sense to open it up for trustee discussion, comments, questions now on that, goal number 3?
Yeah.
So any proposed edits, changes, questions related to those?
I just want to thank again Rob and Diane and the library staff for really doing all the hard work to respond to all of the action items and set out the substantial progress that you've been made on a variety of fronts. It's all very impressive to me. Thanks to the staff, for accomplishing all of this.
I agree. It has to be said that Earhart and Rob just really formulating this format was really, really helpful. And it's helped us to really kind of just get to the meat of the issue without having to have too much jargon and all this other stuff. And it makes it a lot easier. And I'm pretty sure the patrons will be able to follow along with it too.
And, this process never stops, so we can
No, it's
always,
ongoing.
hone it for the next time around, which starts in a couple of months. Perfect. Well, thank you again, Kay, for goal 3. I suppose if anybody has any additional feedback on that, just let us all know. So we'll move on to goal number 4 then.
Okay, goal 4, we're going to provide access to an outstanding diverse collection of materials for Needham patrons and understand the importance of building and promoting a represented collection. We sat with Kay and Rob and myself, and the first part of the objective was to anticipate an ongoing need for accessible and current collections in various formats. The priority action items for FY 2025 begin the relocation of the large print collection. The progress of that is in progress. The project has begun. Full relocation of the project will be completed by FY 26 after shelving from the second floor is relocated to the ground floor during phase 1 construction. Some of the notes and comments from that, we will continue. This is going to be an ongoing progress. Good progress on the hard work of relocating this and other collections. Okay. The next priority action item, begin to weed and rearrange the collection in the archives for better staff access to assist patrons. This was completed. We weeded and rearranged archives collections, ensures room to grow and a better user experience. Not really too much for comments for that. That's pretty self-explanatory. Engage with the Needham History Center and Museum to determine which resources by format each institution has available for local historians and genealogists. That's been completed. Basically the local history, we have these archives, documentation, I'm sorry, established for the staff to determine when to guide local historians, researchers, and genealogists in Needham History Center and Museum. Some of the comments there were great initiative shown on this project in coordinating with the History Center. I also wanted to say that, and just thinking about this before, it was helpful speaking with Rob and that the diversity DIB has always been at the forefront of what the library was. We didn't really need to say that, but that's what it's always been. So I didn't want not to acknowledge that. That was something that came up in the meeting that was very helpful for me. Okay, make sure I got this right. Okay. Priority action item was to increase
Page 7.
7, yes, okay. I cut that out because it was upside down. Yeah. Okay, increase marketing and training efforts for patrons, especially seniors, for our digital collections and resources and uses of devices. This is currently in progress. Marketing and training efforts have begun for our digital collections. Our reference library digital media specialist has offered technology help and visited an assisted living facility. Some of the comments were on this for This will be completed by the end of FY '25. Good initiative to help public and patrons learn about digital collections and resources. A priority action for the next item is begin to serialize parts of the physical collection, starting with young adult and adult graphic novels. This was completed. The young adult and adult graphic novel collection has been serialized for ease to use by patrons and staff. Some of our comments: excellent initiative in encouraging teens and becoming good readers. I think that was one of Kay's comments. I got to give her credit for that. And then we have the item equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging, EDBI, EDIB, sorry, are the core tenets of all the collections. One of the priority action items was the library IQ, update the work done in early CY 2023 to create an updated EDIB collections report. This was completed with library IQ. Staff can create a live EDIB collection report method used in early CY 2023 will continue to be used. Some of the comments: excellent use of library IQ, continue discussion and work around library's work in developing collection reflecting the library's values. That was very important, so that we were making sure that we were transparent and where we stood on issues surrounding the patrons in our community. Another objective: investigate the development of English language learning ELL collection in the children's room. One of the priority actions there, with the successful introduction of the ELL, the World Languages Collections for the children, seek additional funding in the FY 2026 operating budget to support ongoing growth of these needed collections. This was completed. The operating budget, the 2026 operating budget requests included additional funding for the development of the English language learners collection in the children's room. Some of our comments regarding this: as the result of this initiative, children have access to additional resources, which is really great. We're really happy about that. The next objective: consolidate and refocus world languages, emphasizing Needham. It's completed. We won't even go through that in and some of the comments regarding that: excellent, visible, and accessible shelves of world language materials have been created. Sure. That is it. Thank you. Any questions or comments or discussion?
I had a small one, and I don't know if we talked about it last year. The use of seniors as capital, just as you know, seniors with seniors, like it has two different meanings potentially that are very different ends of the age spectrum.
Right.
If it's enough that, you know, those that are reading this from library users know what we mean, then I don't need to upturn the apple cart for it.
I would agree, because I was confused by it.
Okay.
Was that like
Now that
thinking
you
of
bring it up-
seniors in high school?
Seniors,
Yeah,
yeah,
now that you bring
Seniors.
it up, I realize it's supposed to be seniors in high school, but I
No,
thought.
no,
it was-
no, it's senior
like a-
citizens.
Oh, it's senior citizens helping other senior citizens?
No, it's seniors in high school helping senior citizens,
Right,
yes.
right, that's what you're.
But
right.
everywhere
I
else it's-
interpreted it as some seniors helping other
Oh.
seniors.
There's 4 different possibilities.
Yeah.
So could we do this? Could we put NHS seniors helping seniors, Needham High School?
I was more questioning the use of just seniors to refer to our more aged patrons. I don't know if we want to do senior citizens, and then you can like just define it as seniors, which is a very legal way to do it. But like the first time you use it, you can say senior citizens, friends, seniors, and then every other time we use seniors with a capital S, we know we mean senior citizens. That one with the seniors helping seniors, we could add extra language there if we want to be clear, but given that it's not something that's going forward. I don't think we
What
can spend it more.
if in the reference where it says investigate relaunching seniors, helping seniors, an intergenerational technology health service. And what if you don't just continue that includes high school seniors with, senior citizens, just as
Well, like
part
I
of that
said,
one
I don't think we
definition.
need to explain that one, since especially
Okay.
we're not doing the program right now. It's more the other uses of
When
seniors
we
to
use the
refer
word
to that
senior.
group of patrons. Go ahead.
So I will tell you that the community council books a study room once a month to do precisely this.
Okay.
This, high school seniors getting their credits, and they do the bookings, and we just provide them the space.
Oh,
And they are
nice.
here, they're doing their last one, I believe, this month, and then they'll start up again in the fall. Great, but they are doing that.
But it's not a library program, it's just
It's
the,
not a library
Right.
program, but it is in support of this
That mission.
application. So it is, we do have something happening, it's just not us actually doing it.
Yeah, so more just to distill it was whether we refer to that group of patrons as something more clear.
Yeah, so you're basically saying it's a language issue where
Yes.
we, on first reference, we would say senior citizens.
Yeah,
And then.
And then the rest
we
would be
could even
seniors.
just always be senior citizens.
yeah, I don't
That
know.
works
if-
too.
if
Yeah,
it's-
so
Yeah,
senior citizens should be the term, I suppose, but, so then it would be clear.
I also
So
have
the-
another question once we finish this discussion.
So, on our action plan, the text for the goals and the objectives is straight from our strategic plan.
yeah.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want to change that.
Oh, okay.
And, the priority action item text is what was approved by the trustees last, but I understand your point and.
We'll
moving
keep it in
forward-
mind for the next
Yeah,
strategic plan, which is not too
Yeah.
far
Yes.
away, so we don't need to make a change now. That's really helpful to clarify things.
I just have a quick question about the ELL budgetary thing. A, congratulations, I didn't know that was happening. And then B, is there, because ELL, if the children are ELL, that almost invariably implies that the parents don't speak English as well. And I'm wondering if we now have this budget to increase the ELL resources in the children's room, if there is some sort of either budget or other thing to reach out to non-English speaking families in our community to know that these resources are going to now exist.
With the resources, with the classes to take root here.
No, I'm just reading this, investigating stuff. This collection, we now have this collection. But we have budget for a collection for ELL learners.
Okay.
But you're talking
but
about
those-
marketing.
Right, because those are children.
Right.
Those children are never gonna know that that exists. And their parents are invariably not going to speak English. And so they're not gonna know that the library therefore has, or it's very unlikely that they're gonna know the library has these resources to then help their children.
So that perhaps be something to mention under trustee comments, consider ways
Yeah.
to,
FY 26 action plan.
Here we go.
So we could
But
put
we
that
can
in
put
the,
that in the trustee
in the
comments.
box.
Yeah.
Here's a
Right.
little box.
So that
That's
little
nice.
box, you can
Yeah.
put that
So
in.
in FY 26, part of what we will do is we've got these great collections and we need to let the world,
Right.
Yes.
and those
So like,
organizations.
We should put
in-
that in the comment, the trustee
Yeah, so
comments.
in this box, with that line. we can add-
consider
Consider-
additional outreach.
Correct.
Are we saying specifically to
That- is that-
adults or?
Reasonable enough.
To people
Oh,
who,
To
to
ELL
patrons.
learners.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because as I said, maybe through the schools, because I'm sure there's ELL in schools, that the ELL teachers in the schools should know, hey, the library now has this.
Yeah, so we've built these great collections.
Right.
We now
Yeah,
can take the
get the word
next step.
Right,
Make
yeah.
sure they're used.
I put consider outreach to ELL people of all ages.
Mhm. Yes.
Any further discussion, comments on goals 3 or 4?
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
The text in red is our comments, so as we finish these items, we'll just clean this up and not include our internal comments in your comment section.
Okay,
Perfect.
that makes sense.
Are you going to delete them completely or keep them in?
Just in the rest
Well-
of the comment section, right?
just the red ones in there, are you taking them away or we are making them?
So I will take them away, but for goals 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 5, and 6 as we move forward, we'll say, Kay and Michael, this is going away. Do you want to
Yeah.
adapt your comments to include something?
Okay.
That's going away.
What's
But
going
these should
away,
be your comments and notes, not
Yeah.
our
but,
behind the scenes notes to each other.
right, but the red comments in the progress section are not going away.
Yes.
Right.
Those should be staying.
I think they should
Stay.
stay.
Progress.
Change to
Yeah.
black.
One thing I would like to see remain is anything that's being passed forward to fiscal year 26. I would like us to make that,
Put that note in there.
Yeah, and we can put that in our progress during FY 25 comments.
yes, that could be, yes.
Yeah.
So all the library comments should be in that column.
And then you have your
Trustee
section.
Scott.
and
Great.
we have our section.
Mhm,
That'd be great.
Perfect.
That's
Okay.
good.
Should we,
So there's nothing to vote on at this stage. This is just kind of a review and discussion, and then we'll review and discuss 4 more goals
Mhm.
at the June meeting.
The goal would be for the folks that are providing those reviews to take any feedback you received during this in order to take another pass at your notes and comments.
Yeah.
So that a final version can be shared with Jay and I while we're going through the compilation phase.
And the long-term goal is for us to approve these in the July meeting, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, we'll, after the June meeting, which is when we'll have the other 2 reports. for
Is
the-
it
for the
4 in
four
June?
goals.
4 goals.
Yeah.
Then we'll collect all of those, we'll compile them into a final report or a draft final report to be shared for the July meeting, which we'll then vote on, and then that will become the report for that year.
Was the cover letter part of that vote or did that come after?
No, ideally, the cover letter from Rob would be part of that draft.
Okay.
Right,
Because
so I
I
would
think-
draft that prior to the July meeting, so we can all review that and then agree to sign off on it.
Yeah, I think we want to make sure that we can have a vote so that we can finalize the report with non-substantive revisions to be posted like we did last year by August and sent out to, select board and so forth.
Great, so moving on to the next item under new business, we've
Can
got,
I, sorry,
oh,
can
sure,
I just make a quick comment? Like,
Sure.
So Diana and I met with Kay and Michael and then met with Megan, Jay and Rob. And outside of, this work that we all do, like, we had really great, important discussions about library stuff.
We did. It was a good opportunity to do that.
Like we all did.
Yeah.
And it was worthwhile. It was like
Helpful.
really interesting
Yeah.
for us to have those conversations that we can't like have here just because we have agendas and time limits and that was important.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I
It
appreciate
was,
it.
it was really, it was enlightening and being part of the process and just getting better clarity and functionality. It's really helpful.
Yes, so going
Yes.
forward, we can think of it in that way too, to keep that in mind, that it is an opportunity to have a conversation about important things.
and I'm always learning stuff as a non-librarian, so it's great to hear
Oh, yeah.
from your perspective as a librarian about how these things work and just kind of getting the nitty gritty on what's going on. So should we move on then to the FY 26 action plan?
So the draft has been shared with you and it is 2 pages. And it is 2 pages because we've got phase 1 construction. That's going to eat up 6 months of our lives at least in FY 26. So we didn't want to set up our staff for failure. So these are achievable projects that we know like 12 months from now, we'll be able to say completed. Some will extend beyond FY 26, but some of these all right our next steps out of FY 25 action plans and are in alignment with the strategic plan overall. Like quickly go through each of them or just answer questions if you have specific questions?
I don't
What's
feel the
your-
need for you to read it, the entire document to us, unless anyone else does. I think it's,
Are we going to need to vote on this or just,
Yeah, either today or.
Probably future meetings.
Yeah, June or July.
Right, and that also gives a little bit of time to the extent that there's any evolution on our reviews of FY '25 priority items, then we can always update this a little bit if we need to.
Just talk about a couple things that we're
Yeah.
excited about that, big things, are, well, one nerdy thing. Just, So in FY '26, we're gonna start to plan for the planning of our next strategic plan. So, because our current strategic plan runs through FY '27.
right, time flies.
And I'm confusing myself. Which ends June 30th of '27 in 2 years. So next fiscal year, we want to come together and come up with a plan and a timeline for the creation of the next strategic plan during FY '27, so that 2 years
Yeah,
from now,
makes
the
sense.
trustees can
Yep.
vote on our new strategic plan, which will take place, will go into effect July 1 of '27. So that will be, what are we gonna do? Surveys, focus groups, just sort of, and with the timeline that is, so that July 1st of '26, we can start that whole process, so that by the time spring comes, we've got a final strategic plan. Which is sort of,
during 2 years from now?
Another thing we're looking to do is create a sort of a holistic communication plan that sort of looks at all the ways we're talking to patrons, whether that's receipts, emails, flyers, customer service at the desk, just all the ways that we are talking and communicating about what we offer. Some of that may lead to that's gonna be a multi-year project, but for FY '26, we're looking to improve our signage, the library websites, and email communications that we do to make them even more effective than they are. But that work will probably extend beyond '26, but we want to start tackling that.
It probably sounds silly, but I found that bookmarks are a great way to communicate big things. Or at least,
You've been
Create
hanging out
words.
in the admin offices. So we've got, yes. We've got bookmark, we're gonna be drowning in bookmarks soon.
Beautiful.
But the most exciting bookmark that we have coming is our Poet Laureate bookmark, which will introduce an item to the world and talk about that program. Which is also an action item for FY '26 for us to actually own the program. Have a new town manager coming in the summer, and although she likes poetry, this wasn't her idea, so we are going to work to grab ownership of the entire program. And not just be the administrators of the town hall project. Especially since there is
Makes
no
sense.
funding or whatnot, so that may just be having a coffee with Katie and saying, we're taking it over, and she's just fine.
Thank
We
you.
just want to formalize, this is our baby now.
The poet laureate has had some events that you've gone to?
Oh,
Because I haven't
Oh, yes.
been able to see any of them, so I'm just wondering what,
So-
any feedback.
We most certainly have hosted events with her here.
Yes.
4 of them, I believe, is tax break.
Yeah,
I can tell you that one of the programs that I have booked for the fall is a actor coming in to portray Robert Frost, and I've already asked Ian to do the introduction for
fantastic.
that event.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
we'll
Do you know when, do you have a
advertise
date
it.
for that?
Yes, it's November 2nd.
Oh.
And I will be having the advertisement for said program.
Great.
Will also mention that she will be there doing that, so we will get a tie in there.
Very nice.
You know, when we visited her at Needham Open Studios a week or so ago, you know, I was eyeing her work as she does these exquisite little, wood, I guess, sort of wood linoleum block cuts, right? Which, you know, we could coordinate for stuff in the cases during, related to one of the events. or something. I don't know. Yeah, you know her better than I do, but whether that might be appealing to her.
Yes, yeah, sure. Yeah, she's done work at the CAP and with the Needham Public Schools, and June 24th, we will be at the select board meeting to give them an update on the progress and the birth of this program. It also will be Kate's last select board meeting, so and we'll read a poem to honor Kate and their times. So yeah, it's been really exciting, and weeks ago, I'm sure, but it's on the bookmark. We have a logo for the program. Oh, really? The graphic designer created the town logo. It was extra money left over, so the town let us use that extra money to hire him to create a logo for the program. So that work is completed, and so the bookmarks are being printed now. And we have all sorts of other bookmarks coming, but
Nice.
Lots of bookmarks.
If you take a look at the last newsletter that came out, you'll find that the column had that logo.
Oh, was, oh, nice, okay, take a look.
So for the FY 26 plan, any questions, Earhart?
I got lots.
Yes.
Um,
A lot of red marks down there. I can see it from here.
So this is kind of like an overall thing that I noticed is that some of the stuff in that we are passing forward to fiscal year 26, according to the notes in the review for fiscal year 25, made it onto this document. Some of them did not. And so I want us to keep track of all those things that we're passing forward because one, we should know what we're working on, and when we complete them, we can celebrate that completion. Two, we should also appreciate that some of those older projects that are rolling forward, even if in part, are competing with your time and resources for the new projects that are listed here. That's, I think, important for us to be aware of. So for instance, goal 1, objective 3 on cross-training, you noted that that's going to be passed forward according to the review, but it's not mentioned here in your action items. Goal 3, objective 3. I was curious about whether or not we were going to be requesting an outreach librarian for the fiscal year 27 budget. Because we kind of said, we still want this. And I wasn't sure if we were gonna try for that again.
Well, this number is number 4, actually.
Is it 4?
Oh, there's no 3, there's only a 4, there's one before.
You're referring to
I'm referring to the original.
the original, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
on the previous,
Yeah. No, no,
Yeah, in
no,
like
no,
the
no.
original strategic plan.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is kind of like a thing that we were trying for.
Gotcha.
And I was wondering if we were passing that forward and trying to, put in a DS4.
okay, so you mean outside of things from FY 25 rolling over to
This
26?
is a question for me about whether or not this is rolling over.
No,
Okay, so we're not gonna track it. Right, all right,
The outreach.
all right. Then,
doesn't mean for FY 26, if, part of FY 26 will be looking at a staffing analysis. Town meeting just
Right.
approved money for a classification project. So as part of that, we'll be looking at doing a staffing analysis. So it could come up, but our priority for FY 26 would be the part-time team library. To make sure we get that along with the sterling money for the website. And if we have to just reevaluate our needs after we do the staffing analysis. So probably FY 26 we wouldn't be putting forward the DSR for again for a full-time, research.
Goal for objective 1, you're still completing the large print location. I don't know if that's like a nominal thing that we're passing forward or whether we should note that here.
It's a big thing.
Okay.
Because it's not just large print, it's like the whole first floor.
Okay, so let's add that.
Yeah, and it's bigger now because it's bigger than the large print. It's every adult collection on the ground floor, and it involves shelving coming from the second floor down here. And
Okay.
it's become like.
All right, sounds like we should track that. Under goal 5, we had objective 1 with not just evaluating our subscriptions, but then marketing our subscriptions. So you said you were going to pass forward the marketing part of that objective or of that action item. Objective 3, there were 2 action items in there. Update the Patreon item request form. So you said you had done the exploration on that, but had not implemented the new form.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna do it, but that's a small thing.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's nominal, then maybe we shouldn't put it on.
I know. So that thing is,
I'm just trying to keep us honest.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's almost
Yeah.
everything that's listed is in progress for FY 25, right? That's
Yes,
like
but
the-
some of them made it onto this, but some of them didn't. So that's why I want to, I'm just double checking.
Where are
Yeah, the second one under objective 3 on goal 5 was to promote the understanding of the library's collection development policy. So we were reevaluating it. Now we're going to promote that. I don't know whether that's once again like a very small thing or it's a larger thing.
The revision of the collection development policy will happen in FY 26 according to the policy timeline.
Okay.
So once that's done, it will be done. I think
That might not be.
marketing or publicizing the collection development policy to patrons. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's
That's
not a
what we
priority.
want to do. It may be more of a, maybe an emphasis on intellectual freedom issues and the right to read, more so than like, we revised this policy and we want to let you know you should read it. Like,
I mean, once again, I'm not trying to talk about what the substance of this is, but we had this kind of double-barreled action item, which was to, look at that policy and then promote the understanding of that policy. And so I'm curious, are we going to do something about that in fiscal year 26?
No.
Okay.
but we're gonna revise the policy.
Okay.
Which we
revised
have,
policy.
we don't want to market what we.
Yeah, we can't market it since we-
Okay, yeah, great. And then the other comment I had, so those were all the things that I caught that hadn't been passed forward. The other thing I wanted to comment on was under goal 6, objective 4. So we're talking about phase 1. This is the objective that we introduced to make sure that we were, having a whole objective dedicated to the construction renovation of the team room. In your description of the measurement of success, you include at the end, continue to provide programming and services for team patrons and plan measures to address disruptions caused by the project. And I actually thought that is more appropriate under goal 3, objective 1. Which is where we're specifically speaking to improve service, space, outreach, and resources for emerging adults. Because I didn't want it to get lost there in the construction of the space. That the fact is that our folks, our staff who are working on with the teen population need to be doing that work of maintaining programming and services for the teams during that. as well as thinking about the programming that's going to be in that space when it launches, in the middle of fiscal year 26. Does that make sense? If we have like an action item there, or two under goal 3, objective 1?
And are you talking about adding this into the document that we're doing now, or having that in next year's version?
No, for fiscal year 26. Yeah, I think it's stuff that I think we're already going to be doing. I just wanted to make sure it was in the right place and that we were,
So someone's
talking about it in
following
the right
it
way.
through from.
It's
one
not
to
an
the other.
afterthought, it's like something really straightforward and right in the present. Yes.
So
Rob,
that
would
makes
it be
sense?
helpful to have like a bullet point summary of those, or we're able to get them down? I'm
Oh,
thinking
yeah,
track
yeah.
because there's a lot of information.
Oh, yeah, no, I got it.
Okay, awesome, okay.
He's a librarian.
I know.
Luckily, we have faith.
Yes,
Just so you know, I have already booked the community room starting September 2nd. Every single afternoon from 2:30 to 6, we'll have tables in here.
oh, great.
Because it is in the community room, we will be able to access our additional activities for the kids, AKA we can still hook up the gaming system, because we'll have the back panel to be able to use for that. I assume we'll be probably increasing our snack budget for feeding the kids. We've still told Tony Serio from Youth Services that we definitely still want him to do his Monday afternoon activities, which Aaron helps participate in. So we will still be doing some stuff. It may not be full blown like we've been doing now, but there will be stuff for the kids still happening during construction, so
In
that
this space.
in this space down here. I can't give them further evening because of other activities that are scheduled for the nighttime. I have to give some time to do a changeover for the room. But every afternoon that we do not have a book sale in here or a holiday, kids are here.
Is that something we should probably add to this? That there was,
I put a note in our column.
yeah, just that that their children will have events and things taking place in the, yeah, that's good.
So yeah,
And on the FY 26 plan, thank you, Earhart, for that feedback. Any further discussion, questions on that? We're not voting on it today, but any further thoughts to share? All right, well, we move ahead then. And thank you, Rob, for putting that draft together.
Yeah.
We're staying right in track, which is wonderful. And, it'll be a nice, smooth changeover when we get into FY 26. So going into old business, the first item under discussion is a draft of the trustee onboarding document that was in the trustee packet.
So the revised draft incorporates the edits from that trustees gave at the last meeting. Two of the most important changes was the addition on page 2 of the new draft of the first steps for new trustees section that was suggested. So that is new. And then the section that starts on page 7, the financial information section has been has information there now. Before it was just no information. So, and then these smaller edits.
I thought this is great, and it's really more than an onboarding. It's useful for us as a continuing reference.
It's kind of like a quick reference handbook, which is really convenient.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on the responsibilities. I thought maybe, I don't know if we wanted to list out all the positions that we do, because there's not just the office positions, but there's the poet laureate, the friends, the arts committee, the PPBC, like all of these different things. And then I didn't know if we wanted to put anything in there about rotating or about not serving as an officer in your first, I don't know, these are all things I've heard.
About the positions and responsibilities that the trustees might take on.
Yeah, because it
What
says
are
like
they all?
maybe asked to participate.
On what page?
This is, sorry, this is the top, this is the end of 2 and into 3, the responsibilities. Which is like, and it seemed almost like maybe we should do required and maybe recommended, because they don't quite match up with.
This
the-
is really, I think, intended to be just a
Bylaws.
summary, I suppose, more than a comprehensive statement, no?
Well, that's a
don't
good
know.
question, because it says undertake special fundraising programs to raise money for the library. Is that something that we actually do?
I believe that is listed in the bylaws.
Was it? I just took a look. I think this should match, I do think this should match the bylaws, and then maybe there might be a recommended or potential additional responsibilities that are in the bylaws.
Maybe that one is.
Like providing planned orientation for new trustees, we don't do that currently. Planned orientation. We do have the bylaws at the bottom here, so I may have missed it.
Well, there is the one bullet at the end, maybe ask to participate in subcommittee or advisory groups, take an opposite position on the board, or provide leadership to work, culture events.
I just think it would be helpful to lay out all the potential things that you may be asked to do, or may have the opportunity, I guess, is maybe better phrasing for it. And then to evaluate some of the things on there that seem to be not currently done and or inaccurate. I'd be happy, well, maybe you'd be interested in a planned orientation for new trustees. That would be something that we would have to do, decide when would that happen and who would do it. Like, it would be a thing.
That the trustees themselves could potentially.
Right, but what I'm hoping is that this will give an accurate depiction of things that they may be asked to do and maybe happen, because I, for one, was a little surprised at the amount of things, like, and the time, it's way more than just one meeting a month. It can be way more, and, with, I don't want it to scare anybody away who have evening other things and have limited availability to do it, but I want to make sure that, and then that also keeps us on it, so that we know there's now a poet laureate thing, there is a PPVC, which isn't formally done every year, but I don't know. Might be just something that we could think about, and I'd be happy to take a pen to it if you wanted, Rob, if it would be helpful from our perspective, then other people can jump in.
Yeah, I mean, it might even be useful for this responsibilities section to be something, I don't know the laws behind this, so I'm just throwing this out here, but like marking for people who are going to be running for trustee.
Right, if this would have been something helpful,
Yeah.
a paragraph like that before, and I had some conversations and that has helped, but it's sort of a black box. You can watch our meetings for sure, but that just scratches the surface of what people do. People report on other meetings, but nobody knows, not nobody, but if you're just watching a meeting in preparation to run, you're not sure how frequently the friends meet or how many programs there are, or the LFN or PPVC, without watching multiple ones there. So I'd be happy to take a crack at doing this, circulate it. Yes, yeah, and both Robs are in agreement. Happy to circulate it for everybody else's thoughts if there's things I've missed. If I'm
You're talking about specifically the
just the
responsibilities.
responsibilities section, and I would maybe break it into sort of required and recommended, because I think there's the bylaws recommend requirements, and then there's the recommended would be state, local, national, library related meetings, and all of that is very helpful to make you a better trustee.
A lot of
But our
information.
bylaws don't require it by that.
Just as a very minor point as well, even above this, first steps for new trustees, if the director hasn't done so, reach out. If the chair of the trustees hasn't done so, reach out. Literally, you get elected and the next day you come to your meeting.
Yes.
So like, these people, you don't have time to get reached out. So it should just be like, at your first meeting, set up an appointment with the chair, set up an appointment with the director.
Yeah.
As opposed to someone's gonna reach out to you, because there's no time.
right.
You have to hit the ground running.
And I never got a guided tour with my.
Me neither, actually.
So maybe Josh and I could do
We've
that
never had
when
a
you're
guided
up.
tour.
I'd love to be introduced to more people
Yeah.
working here. I've done that on my own, but sometimes I
Field
don't have
trip
the
maybe.
time. Field trip, yeah.
Separate from the field trip.
A small field trip.
Small.
With refreshments.
Small, yeah. I think all of these things are great, and I think we should be doing them, you know, to discuss whether a planned orientation is something that we would do or not, but for now, I would put that in brackets.
That would be great if you could take the time on that, Megan.
Yeah,
And
okay.
certainly good to get, your perspective, and really kind of our collective perspective as trustees, because this is gonna help to
Yeah.
educate folks who join the board in the
Knowledge
future.
transfer, let's get all of our
and-
knowledge here so that
Yeah,
future
probably,
people can
you know,
see
if
what
any
it
of us have
is.
something that we think, oh, you know, propose, put it in, or you know, propose
Yes.
that you put in and track
Right.
changes or whatever. And
Yeah.
Okay, so we can cover that at the next meeting then.
Yeah.
You'll refer to the duties of the board as set forth in the bylaws, which
Yes,
is a
that's
very
the thing, is
helpful
that I
guide.
would put the required ones are the ones in the bylaws.
Yeah.
And then I would have a recommended or additional or something maybe to separate it out a little bit. Responsibilities is a good category to propose. I am open to wordsmithing for sure. And we'll also think on more before I set it out.
And also something that I'm sensitive to is just making sure that the trustees know not only what their responsibilities are, but what their powers are. What are the powers of this board?
Yep.
What are the decision-making powers that are vested in the selected positions? So that might be something to make clear here as well.
It's really kind of determining your lane, like what we can and can't do.
Thank you.
Right, what are the guidelines of what you can do and can't do and must do? And then what's best practice?
Yes,
So,
yes, exactly.
I think that was
That'll be
like one of
helpful.
my biggest questions when I first got on, because I wasn't really sure, and I think you kind of reading the room to see how other trustees respond, just to get an idea of, okay, can we do this, or can we do that, or how far can we push that? What is our limit? So,
Right, and my experience with the hiring of the new director did not quite align with what was in my bylaws. It was like, I think it's worded correctly, but it was just sort of, I felt there was more decision-making power there than there seemed to be. As in the meeting, as I expressed my thoughts and had some comment saying, well, our thoughts don't need to be taken into account, as we don't have that power in the choice.
We essentially have a veto power.
We have
That's it.
veto power, which is clearly laid out in the bylaws, but I
Right.
was sort of under the impression that my opinion on the selection was taken into account. Really, maybe it was more than I'm not trying to disparage anything, but just setting those expectations out
Yes.
here and those powers, and making sure it is clear in the bylaws that says we have a vote to approve or disapprove, so maybe shame on me for not revisiting that when I before.
You mean me?
You were involved in the discussion.
no names.
As you
I'll try
were
to be better.
in the interview. No, this, it was talking about you. You weren't in it. like- Anyways, I do think this is a great document to work on. I will do it and I will attempt to do it sooner rather than later, so everybody has some more time with it than just right before the meeting.
Hey, do you want to see a separate powers section or within
I
the
think it would be
responsibilities?
useful for trustees to know, yes, these are the things that, you know, our bylaws give the trustees the power to do.
But it also alerts the public to also what our limitations are, because I think people, and just talking to patrons or just people I know in town, they're always saying, well, why did you guys do it like this, or what's that all about? And you're really not sure how to answer it. But if you have something like what you're saying, it's documented, says this is what we can do, then people say, oh, okay, I understand that. And it will be helpful to us, but also give us a range of what our platform is. And I think what you're proposing is wonderful. You go, girl.
Other than that, I think, like I said, this is great. I don't know if anybody else had any comments on it. Right ahead.
Yeah, mine are just nitpicky things. Under the Library Foundation of Needham section, there's just like a second capital I. Library, LI.
Bye.
On page 9. And then, starting with, vision statement at the bottom of page 3, there are a series of orphan headers.
So just in the draft, I
Yeah,
didn't do.
just
the
want to
final
keep
document
track of
did.
that. Use like the keep with next.
Yeah.
Paragraph styles and stuff. So that- That's it.
So we'll have a revised version for the June meeting. Thank you, Megan, for taking the pen on that, and thanks to Rob and Diana for creating this document. Was it Diana who did the initial? Yes, so thanks to Diana for
Yes, thank
Um,
you to Diana.
for the
Really
draft.
great- Really, really great work.
Great.
Moving on with an eye on the clock.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Will the trustees vote to approve or accept this onboarding document or not?
I don't think it's-
It's more like an internal process.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a policy per se. There's no
Because we will
directive.
be updating it as staff or trustees change over. There was a suggestion to take out names, but we thought the names were useful.
Yep.
But we know that this is a living document. We will have to update it and wouldn't want to have to put on the agenda.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Bring back.
thank you for it. Very much appreciated.
Is there a place that we can save it? I know there is a Google Drive, and there was a Google
Yeah.
Drive when I joined.
But that was outdated.
Yes, and that's why I couldn't use Outlook email, I had to use Gmail. But if there was like a login, like a password protected part on like, I don't know if it's the Needham Library site or something where we could keep this, that we could have access to, that you get as a password when you're elected and you can go in, and then I can maybe use my Outlook instead of, or, I don't know. But somewhere where we can store.
a
our
document that
stuff.
all of us can see. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but only the
Only
trustees.
the-
Right, it's
Yeah,
not
there
a
is,
public document.
there is a Google folder.
Yes. That had a lot of stuff.
You have access.
I did
I
at
didn't even
some
know it
point.
existed, so right this way.
Kim gave it to me. I hope you have access.
It was
You
created by
have
the
access to
previous
it.
Yeah,
director.
Kim created it, Kim probably.
Not all of us were aware of this.
We created
I knew of it in the
Yeah.
past, but it faded out of my
Yeah,
consciousness.
it's
over
in
the
a
past.
Google.
Yeah, I
If
probably
you look
still
in your
have.
shared drives and your Google Drive, it'll probably.
I would-
Okay.
That presumes that you use a Google.
I
Drive.
think.
That's
Well,
the
that's
thing,
true.
I
That's
was-
presumed. We have access to Google. It's not too hard to click on Google Drive.
Yeah, but on
So,
my computer, it's like logged in as my wife.
And you have to be in your, you have to connect it to a Google account.
Right, somebody has to invite you.
You're doing that.
so moving on, it's 9:11 now, so just want to keep us on track, but not too far off track. We should move on to the photography and filming policy, a draft of which has been circulated.
So this is a second draft that incorporates the edits from the last meeting. Including the comments to make it clear who we're talking to. Add a sentence about applicable law, which we added that as part of the last sentence. There's small edits. There was the concern about commercial photography. So the first sentence now addresses that. So we made all the edits that trustees provided us. This
And
is,
just a quick question about the commercial photography line. It says is not allowed, period.
But then there's a
Right, that's what I'm
sentence.
saying, is that at the very end, the exception by the director, like, covers that, I presume.
I think you really mean it's not allowed without prior written approval.
Approval, yeah.
Without, well,
Yeah.
policies no, unless the director makes it.
Right.
Right, that last sentence modifies the
Modifies.
entire
It jumped out to
policy.
me too.
But I think
when
it
first
might-
read
it might
The
better-
last sentence modifies everything.
Still, it might fit honestly in the first sentence. It's
Right.
not allowed without
Without,
prior.
Maybe it should be moved up.
Move it
Also-
up.
doesn't matter to me, I just.
I
want
kind of
to-
like it the way it is, just to like, I don't know.
I would agree. I think it's important to have that sentence clearly modify the entire policy so
Yeah.
that the ability to grant waivers applies in every scenario.
No, that's totally fine. I just wanted to confirm that that
Yes.
was the case.
Yeah, exceptions to the policy may be granted. Yep, so that would be an exception. It just is weird font, or maybe it just showed up weird on mine. Yeah,
No.
right.
No, me.
How
Other than
does
that-
the media fall into this? Like if a newspaper came through and decided they wanted to, shoot in here.
So that.
That would be an
Control.
exception that the director would.
Well, and it applies to all applicable laws because that's a whole First Amendment issue, which.
Yeah, it
Which
is.
we already decided this policy does not cover.
Yeah,
Right.
So a news photographer or videographer could walk in here and legally film, I think.
not if he was gonna use it for commercial
Not for commercial
purposes, not to
purposes.
be on TV. He'd have to get
Well, no,
approval
but,
or
well,
an exception to the policy.
who knows? I mean.
I'm not
sure
a
there are
constitutional
There are
lawyer,
First Amendment
but
lawyers out there. who know the
if
answer
it's
to this question.
protected activity in a public place,
Yeah.
you might
This is
be
a
able
protected-
But
yeah,
it's
this is
a
to.
good question. Inside public buildings generally are.
Yeah, no, this is definitely,
Places.
this is definitely fully covered by the First Amendment as well. Like all the public parts of the building.
Anything that the public is, if you're an auditor or something like that, you can come in and film, which is weird, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, so I think this does allow the media. To come in and film.
But not if they were going to like sell it or something.
Or bail in.
Put it
I
on
would
their-
let you know that we do have postings at the building of those areas that are considered staff only. They cannot be photographed in, and that has been done to deal with any First Amendment issues that might come up. Right? So there are
That's
areas,
town
Right.
policy.
town policy, there are areas that nobody can photograph.
Because they're not public
That's
areas.
correct, they're
Yeah.
not public access. The personnel public access, but
outside
one of those areas there.
Step on, yeah, okay, but the rest, I mean, are we in agreement with this idea of the media or? I mean,
Yeah, I think the context, like if it was for a news story, I think you're right. If they then wanted to sell it to somebody who's a commercial, that would not be.
Right.
That would be more commercial
That's different.
purposes. Yeah, but if they.
Right, but if News Channel 5 wants to come down the street and come in here and do a story,
Yeah, or
This
even just,
policy
gee,
just-
we need some pictures of the
In
library
practice,
books.
they're gonna reach out and
well, of course
ask.
they are.
but-
Yeah, in practice, of course they are.
Historically,
News-
we have always had them come in, and we have had them come in.
Just to have-
Usually when there is an issue, they love our yearbooks. When you're looking for pictures of people who live in incidents.
Oh.
Something like that happen, they will come and ask to photograph yearbooks.
Any further discussion on the policy? Do we have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Check it off the list, Rob.
Great work.
Now that you approved it, I must apologize because this is a new policy and I didn't follow the standard that trustees asked for to have reasons to create the policy. At the beginning.
I think I requested it with regard to this one.
Oh, well,
So,
sorry.
So the next one new.
So then I was like, oh yeah, there's no like reasons for
Do you
why.
want to just fill this in now? So you can say that that satisfies it.
I think we need it.
To clarify when you can use,
Clarify what.
Just to, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
I want to comment here, and this might, I think this is related to these policies, and possibly an action item, for fiscal year 26. I've mentioned, the desire to, convert our policies on the website to web pages as opposed to PDFs. And so I just want to make sure that we don't lose that.
It's happening right now.
Oh, it's happening right now?
It's happening. It's like right
In
now
process.
happening.
At the
You're
very.
on.
Fabulous.
You're on.
Excellent.
So Danielle's doing all that.
Working overtime.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot of policies. Okay, moving on, out of old business to the Art and Exhibits Committee report. I'll turn it over to Kay.
Okay, well, we will need, we have 3 more months to fill for the construction starts upstairs, so we'll need your vote on this tonight. Oh, you have, okay, yes, thank you. So for June/July, for June and the first 2 weeks of July, we have invited Zana Pekelis, watercolor artist for Birds of Flowers. And, you know, her work is lovely, and, you know, we've been working a little bit to try to get people in the door. Some of the people we've asked have not responded, so she's displayed before, right? Yeah.
She's been part of Needham Art Association.
Oh, Needham Art Association.
And I don't
knew
know
her
if
name.
she was in the most recent Open Studios, but we have seen pieces of her work here in the past.
So, an accomplished watercolorist. Next, we have, and the case is the same, during the same time period of time, Wayne First Pottery and handmade paper. So Wayne, this shows his sort of all this outdoor craft show stuff, but he actually is a real master potter and has some really gorgeous, he's taught art ceramics at Harvard for many, many years, and also does papers. He has his own huge garden. He makes paper out of his own flowers, so that will be also part of the exhibit. All homegrown paper and flowers and paper. So that's Wayne First. Then the second half of the summer, from July to end of July through August, on the gallery wall, we're talking with Lori Levitt, who I guess we're waiting to hear from her, right? So we can't vote on her yet.
I needed to get tonight's artist for June 6th, and I'm going
Okay.
forward in the next week.
So we don't have we don't have that set up yet. So I guess so it's just going to be for June and for September. So it'll be Donna Perklis and Wayne First. In
For June and
June
mid-July, so it'll be a 6-week period.
So could I have a motion for to approve the artwork of Zana Perklis and Wayne First for June through the first half of July?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kay. Moving on to the MacIver series, Michael.
Yes, I have some very good news. I've been going for it. I just know that this one is probably a very difficult one, but I said the best thing to do is to meet it head on. So what I've done is I've contacted and connected with 3 different people. The first person we've already nailed down for October 26th, which is a Sunday. Each one of these will take place on Sundays. So the first person is Alyssa Kazin. She is a patient service administrator at Boston Children's Hospital. She's going to be coming in doing a workshop on trauma. She's a Reiki master. So what she's going to do is do an actual workshop for the people that attend, helping them from people who are paramedics, police, fire, anybody in a high stress situation, regular patrons will have an opportunity to meet with this person who is a Reiki master. She'll be here on October 26th. Also, asked a dear friend of mine, who his name is Jimmy Myers, who is an actual, was a former sports announcer on Channel 4, who was the first African-American sports anchor for ESPN. He's a sports icon and a community activist of Rio. All I'm asking him to do is nail down these last 2 people. I'm asking them to just nail down the date. So I have 3 people that I want to invite. And then lastly, this is something that I talked to a friend of mine who I have known for over 22 friends of mine I've known for over 20 years. And they are Peter and Paul Reynolds. They're authors of The Blue Bunny They have the Blue Bunny and they're authors of books. And I talked to them this afternoon
Blue Bunny in Dedham Square.
in Dedham Square. And I met with them
Oh,
at
yes.
the Reynolds Hall that they're using now for court TV, where they're going over this case.
Yeah,
And I asked them, they said, Michael, whatever you want us to do, we'll do it. So I just thought that what a natural kind of connection with their writing children's books. And this will be something good for when we are thinking about our phase 2 and possibly and potentially having them come to do something else while we are advocating for this. And hopefully, if all goes well, they'll either be here in November, January, or April. I have to just get them, text them out. I met with them at, let's see, it had to be about 4 o'clock because I finished my work shift and I went right over to Dedham and sat down with them. First thing I talked to Peter Reynolds' wife. I said, I gotta talk to the boss to see if it's okay for him. And his wife Diana said, oh, he's across the street. So I went and talked to them. And first person I told when I came in, I'll say it, I said to Gay, and then I came down and it was Rob, but I talked to Rob about it this afternoon. And I said, I've got to go over there and solidify this. So I'm very excited. And I thank Rob for helping me to understand the process and how to get it going. And now with also Gay Ellen with doing the press releases and getting everything together. And it's imperative to get it done sooner than later because time is moving. And I'm just really excited that the people that I've talked to have said, yes, that is the key. Now it's just one person's ready to go in queue, and then the other 2 will be probably by our June meeting, we will have it solidified so we can put that out to the public that these people will be here. And I'm just really excited for the variety of speakers we have and just the kinds of things that they will bring to the table and bring to our community. So I'm excited.
Well done.
Thank you. We got to get on it.
Yeah.
a wonderful
Yeah.
Array of different creative people, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
It's a
no.
tremendous amount of progress.
Well.
Trying to make me look good.
No.
Thank
Well,
you,
don't
thank
forget
you.
to, Rob also has one more too, so I'm not doing that.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say
work
it
on
like
that
that,
one.
but I just know that from being here for a couple of years, even before you had to do MacGyver, it was always seemed to take a long time, and I was trying to figure out what was so long, but then I understand that you have to make sure these people are okay with the format and timing. So it doesn't always work out like this, but I'm just very fortunate that I have relationships with these people, and it's just like, let's go. Yes,
Awesome.
thank you.
So moving on, Jay, any update from the Friends?
As far as the programs go, we had a very nice program this past month with Suzanne Simpson,
Yes.
the executive producer of Masterpiece at GBH, and I think she was very warmly received. I thought she did a great job, and it was a very nice event. We have coming up June 8th, Warren Zanes, who's really a wonderful writer about music, things relating to music. He's used to be in a Boston rock band called the Del Fuegos. He's well known for his biography of Tom Petty, and his most recent book, Deliver Me from Nowhere, The Making of Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska, was critically acclaimed and has just been made into a movie with Bruce Springsteen's participation. Warren is a co-producer with him. Jeremy Allen, right? White, that's right, from The Bear, is playing Springsteen, and Jeremy Strong from Succession is playing Springsteen's manager, John Lando. So it's going to get a lot of attention over the next few months. So anyway, Warren's an old friend, and he's going to be talking on June 8th. Should be
That's
great.
my birthday.
He's really, he, he really is a wonderful writer. For those of you who, I know, I might have mentioned this before, who might be familiar with the writer Roger Angel, who writes about baseball, but he doesn't only write about baseball, he's just a wonderful writer, and I feel the same way when I read Warren writing about music. He's really just great, and a really charming and nice guy. I'm sure he'll have a great presentation. Am I forgetting anything else from the most recent Friends meeting, Rob, that otherwise I should be mentioning? I can't think of anything else. I know they've been saying yes to your requests,
Yeah.
you know.
They've added a summertime pass for the aquarium, which will be very popular. That opportunity came upon us most recently. So for $200, we're gonna make sure it gets well used, because
Yeah,
the
the
past
aquarium's
aquarium
expensive for
has
a man.
not included their museum pass for the summertime. But now we've got it. Thanks to the Friends.
And I know that, and moving just quickly to the LFN, I know they've also been basically saying yes to your requests. I will say with regard to the foundation, especially, they are looking to recruit some new folks, and if anyone has any friends or thoughts for people who might look to get involved, whether it be for the Friends or the LFN, whatever their instincts are, I would pass the word around and invite them.
Did either of the candidates in the election?
I actually had sent an email, contacted both of them, and I haven't heard
I
back.
also got their mail and then my husband opened it. So we didn't realize, I put it to the side.
But I did reach out because I would have thought that people who were looking
Right.
to run for trustee would be interested. And maybe that might still happen. Perhaps they're still getting over their
Familiar.
defeat.
I'm getting familiar with the library.
Yeah. So something may still come from that.
Any other update on the LFN, Jay, or?
No, not that I can think of.
Well, thank you very much for those updates. For trustee comments, Kay, I know that you have a
Yes,
comment.
just quickly, but I know we're running behind, but this is very important. I wanted to mark and acknowledge our director, Rob McLean's first and very successful year as library director. If anyone has comments after this short statement, please feel free to chime in. Rob's leadership has brought fresh energy to the library, inspiring new ideas and strengthening connections with the community. Rob's dedication to collaboration has set the stage for an exciting new chapter for Needham Library. In 1 year's time, Rob has reached out to many local organizations and leaders. He's engaged successfully with the town managers, bonded well with the Board of Trustees, the Friends of the Library, and the Library Foundation. Rob has recruited and filled a large number of critical staff positions with excellent new library professionals. He's managed the complicated budget process and other financial matters with expertise and insight. He's embraced our strategic plan and devised a method of tracking and accomplishing its goals with his new action plan. Through his leadership, the library has embraced new technologies, streamlined operations, introduced innovative programs that cater to all our patrons of all ages and backgrounds. He also has helped shape and guide phase 1 team room renovation plan, but also his staff has already done an immense amount of moving and organizing the collections in anticipation of the project. I know there are many other things that I have missed, but lastly, and most importantly, Rob is managing, engaging, and working hand in hand collaboratively with our valuable staff, our staff members who are really the library's greatest asset. Thank you, Rob, for a great first year.
I didn't get paid for this.
Well, in one of the conversations I had with him and Diana when they were going over this, I said, the work that they do makes it a pleasure to be a trustee.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. We saw it today in all of the progress that we've made over FY25. That's a lot of really exciting stuff. So thank you. Thank you to you, and thank you to everybody here at the library for everything that you do.
Great staff. Yep.
We have a great staff.
And to all our wonderful staff who just mean so much to everything.
Rob, I think you had something to say before.
I just had a question. I know I'm not a trustee, sorry.
I thought you were gonna say Kate took the words right out of your mouth.
I was gonna praise myself.
Missed a few things.
We're already booking the community room for November for library programming, and the normal meeting date for the trustees is Veterans Day. So if the trustees wanted to decide an alternative date, then we could book that room and make other bookings for the space.
Okay, Galen,
Sorry, so it's
I
Veterans
can,
Day?
yes,
Veterans
it
Day on
is,
Monday?
surprise, no, it's Tuesday this year.
What day is that?
It's Tuesday, the 11th. I have
Of what?
available at the moment, if you want to go a week early, which I believe may be against your regulations, if you have the 4th
of November.
of November.
That's an
I
election
also
day.
have the 10th of November, if you're willing to go up
The
against the
10th on
holiday.
on the Monday, can we do the Monday before
It will
Veterans
be
Day
as
or will
close
people
as
That's-
be
you
away?
can get.
The 10th is rich. Oh, no, it's.
No, it's not. Because Veterans Day is the only holiday that actually occurs on that date if it's on a weekday. So we'll definitely be closed on the 11th, we will not be closed on the 10th. I also have the 18th available if you want to delay it a week.
Open to
I
either
would go
that.
for the 18th.
18th?
Yeah, I would just say that Monday might conflict with the PUC meeting,
Yeah.
It would.
so we just want to be
All right.
careful of that.
Point.
18th.
18th sounds
18th.
good.
Okay. I will put it on the 18th.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
All right,
Okay.
that brings us to the end. Do we have a motion?
I think we have to vote on that.
Oh, we do have to vote on that. Yes, let's, do we
All
have
right,
a, do we
I'll
have a
make a
motion?
motion to move the November 2025 meeting from November 11th to November 18th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good job,
Thank you.
everyone.